So I think a number of interesting strands emerged. One was the prospect we have of accessing the market in goods with some form of manufacturing. So it could be something like, say, jewelry or very high-level tech products, which you could actually get into the EU market through Gibraltar or manufactured in Gibraltar. I think that's an interesting angle. Another is the fact that you could provide some element of services into the EU. I use the example of educational services, where you can do things online, but be based in Gibraltar with English-speaking tuition and English-based, institutions. So those are the sort of a number of factors that came through. I think more generally, it was good to hear both the Chief Minister and the Attorney General talk about the political significance of the agreement and also the legal certainty it delivers. Not of the agreement, I should have said of the treaty, because I think that is the big change. The big change is a treaty, which we haven't had for decades indeed. I think people say the first treaty on Gibraltar since the Treaty of Utrecht, effectively, will provide an element of stability that previous political agreements have not delivered. So there's a very big canvas out there, and I think we're exploring different aspects of it, but the private sector has to step up as well. They will have the answers about how they can make a lot of this work.
Well, let me just ask you first of all, before we go into that, whether there was anything that you heard that caused any concern. I mean, it was all very positive, but there's got to be something there that you, as a lawyer, as a businessman, must think, I'm still a bit worried about this.
Well, not really. I think the only thing that is you have to be conscious of is that this is new territory. It means a very new relationship with Spain on economic matters. It means also that some parts of the Gibraltar economy will be disrupted. There's no doubt about that. And
which parts?
Well, many parts. It could be wholesalers, it could be transport systems, there could be many aspects that the opening up of the economy will impact the current economic model. But in the round, the positives are so overwhelmingly better than the negatives. I think the other thing that doesn't worry me, but I think is a concern, and we discussed it, is that these changes will mean huge infrastructure demands in Gibraltar and in the area around us. And we've got to have an honest debate in Gibraltar about how we're going to accommodate that. We are going to need, I think, more schools and more facilities, and we've got to have a plan about how those are delivered.
Absolutely. It's a question that I did also put to the Chief Minister. You talked about this big blank canvas, but is Gibraltar really ready to embrace that?
I think so, but that's maybe because of the world I inhabit, all right? There are many Gibraltars, but the Gibraltar I inhabit is the Gibraltar of the private sector, of innovation, of businesses that have welcomed outside expertise and married it with local talent. That Gibraltar is the engine of Gibraltar. That's the engine that will get us through into the next period. And we've got to enthuse all our community with that vision. I mean, some people, for example, in services, in public services, don't live that on a day-to-day basis, but our prosperity is one, and the wealth we have to create is for everybody. And I think that we have to therefore excite everybody with these new openings.
Now, we don't want a scattergun approach, do we? Does there need to be a cohesive strategy in place?
Well, this is always a perennial problem. How much should governments direct the future of economic outcomes, or how much they simply create the conditions which then allow private sector to identify opportunities? And I think there's a reasonable midpoint. I think governments have to provide the basic infrastructure, the certainty, legal, political, which this treaty will do. It has to put into place services to support that. I think then it has to determine in what areas he would like to grow. I mentioned innovation, and the Chief Minister was very quick to pick that up, because I think Gibraltar has a reputation in encouraging innovation, in insurance, in gaming, in crypto. So I think we're well placed to have a narrative in that area which the international market will recognize as being credible.